Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at an issue of Challenge Magazine. This is issue 25. This is when it went from being a digest magazine called Journal of Travelers Aid Society and became Challenge Magazine, which incorporated JTAS. This was a nice magazine. It was right there with Dragon every month for me because I'd buy one and I'd go through it and find the stuff that I could apply to my game, and I'd go through the other and I'd find stuff I could apply to my game. I was a very early adopter on Challenge. I honestly don't remember what issue I started with, but it wasn't terribly far into this run. It was so recent at the beginning of this run that I was able to just pick these up off the stands at the same time. So it couldn't have been more than 5 or 6 issues at most before I started buying this magazine as well. I enjoyed Challenge Magazine a lot. I miss it to this day. It went out of print in '96 when GDW closed their doors. It is available through DriveThruRPG. I'll find a link to this actual issue and I'll go ahead and I'll put it below. But today we're going to take a look at this book. The idea behind this is I did an issue of Dragon like this not terribly long ago. And my idea was, I feel like reading an old Challenge. And I was going to just pick one and start reading it. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I can just go ahead and I can go through it on the channel like I did that issue of Dragon. So let me know if you like this kind of video or not. I don't know how many of these I'm going to do. It's going to depend on viewer reaction. But I certainly enjoy taking a look at these. And I have not opened this. I haven't looked at this book in a lot of years. There we go. There's the back of it. So we're going to kind of look together and see what's inside of Challenge 25, the issue where it stopped being Journal of the Travelers Aid Society and became Challenge Magazine. Today on page 121. Okay, here we go. Going to open up Challenge number 25. An interesting thing about Challenge, when it changed to this format, it was also changing at the time that the gaming industry was moving away from the small digest-sized books, but more importantly, they were preparing for Mega Traveler. And Challenge in this format was really a lot of our gateway for Mega Traveler beyond the basic set. So that was an interesting thing too. You would get advancements in the various factions in the rebellion and things like that, and you'd see them first in Challenge very often, and then find out, oh, there's going to be a supplement for this guy or that guy. So here we are, the nice simple cover, 3 1/4, 25 cents more than Dragon at the time. Here we go. Fleet Escort Liaison by Mark Millar. Siege by John M. Ford. False Knight by John M. Ford. What Do We Do Now by Timothy Brown. We don't know if these articles are for Traveler or other house games, because this game magazine was for house games from Game Designers Workshop. So we would have Star Frontiers in here, Twilight 2000, but primarily at its start, it was Traveler. And I kind of like that, actually, and that was, I know it couldn't stay all Traveler, but I thought it was kind of neat that it did, at least the first few issues. Then once it got to Mega Traveler and some of the other games got bigger, well, of course, Game Designers Workshop had to do that to continue to survive. Here we have it. I'm trying to find where the date is. It's funny, they didn't really tend to put the dates on these. I believe this was from '85. Lauren Wiseman was the editor. Mark Millar's spiritual advisor. William H. Keith doing a lot of the artwork. That's pretty cool. Okay, here we go. Very first thing, a Twilight 2000 encounter. Looter's Guide for Twilight 2000, the Baltic Coast. I did play Twilight 2000. I did not game master it. I just played it a couple of times under one of the players who used to be with us. It was an interesting game. It was nothing I wanted to pick up as the game master. Very honestly, if I wanted... I get what they were going for Twilight 2000. It was the immediate aftermath of the Apocalyptic Wars. But frankly, I preferred Gamma World. So, not knocking Twilight 2000. I enjoyed the games I did play in, but there you have it. Oh, here we have an ad for Green Dragon Hobby Traveler by FASA. So, box ship plans, Adventure Class 1, 2, mercenary ships. And then you could package deal, and the merchant class ships are all sold out. I looked at each of these in other videos about a year ago. So what do we do now? Reflections on the possibilities open at Twilight 2000 characters. Now, the game master that ran us ran us during the immediate after effect and the ongoing war and things like that. And we were part of a platoon that had been isolated. And we're trying to figure out if there was any kind of central command to go back to. None of us came from a military background. So it was kind of interesting to see us stumble around with this. And we played it for a number of sessions, and I did enjoy it. But I really felt it was more that Game Master's game than it would have been mine. Okay. Here we go. Twilight 2000. Again, Twilight Scenario. False Night on the Road. Here we have Delta Force. America Strikes Back. Role-playing game of an elite anti-terrorist commando unit. I never played that one. It was designed by William H. Keith, Jr. From Task Force Games. Interesting. Here we have an ad for Twilight 2000. As if you hadn't known what the game was, here's an ad for it. And your chance to go to Origins 1986. Oh, so this was probably out in... Oh, yeah, 1986. So this was out in 86. And then 1985 product release. Eligible for nomination at the awards ballot at Origins. So you could nominate these things. And then in the first few issues, okay, we get the ref's notes on the use of NPCs. Always useful advice, especially in the mid-'80s. Here we have the Journal of Travelers Aid Society brought out as its own little section, which I liked. Dragon Magazine did this with the Ares science fiction supplement for a while. And Journal of Travelers Aid Society number 25, here she is. And we get a nice little look at it. And I appreciated this because, honestly, I was mourning the loss of the digest-sized books. I missed the first few issues when this came out. In other words, I missed picking them up as they came out. I had been buying JTAZ in the digest form, and then somehow I just missed this. In 86 was a very busy time in my life, so I think I just missed it. But there was no internet to tell us when stuff was coming out. If you missed it, you missed it. And I saw this on the shelf, and it was only about issue 28 or so. So I was able to grab the others right with it as I bought that issue. But here we go. Traveler News Service. I always love Traveler News Service. The date is 11/12. And then we have a nice ad here for Grand Survey from Digest Group Publications. Fleet Escort Lysiani, workhorse of the squadron. So there you go. We got a nice ship profile here, called out in Highguard from first edition. Twilight Miniatures rules. So you want to do some tactical battles in Twilight 2000. Here's your chance. This issue is very heavy on Twilight 2000. Game Designers Workshop was working hard to make that a going concern. I never blamed them if an issue was heavy with other games that I really didn't indulge in myself. It was just, I understood it was part of the business. And honestly, especially Traveler 2300 or 2300 AD as it later became, you could harvest a lot of ideas from that for Traveler. I was not really a player of 2300. I bought a lot of the books and I read them, but I like faster than light travel in my games. I like space aliens in my games. That's why I just chose to stay with Traveler. So here we get a nice side view of the ship and some of the cutters that are involved with the ship. And there we have the actual deck plans. It's a tail sitter, rather. And now we go bait. Q ships in Traveler. Given my group's pirate recent grouping or interest in being pirates, I'm really going to have to spend some time with this article. I didn't remember this was in here. I'm pretty excited about reading this because a Q ship is a concept that's been around for a long time. I think it was formalized as a Q ship in World War I. I could be wrong on that. It might go earlier than that. But the Q ship is a ship that appears to be a fat, helpless, dumb merchant. And then when you pull up within weapons range, it pops off all kinds of panels. And what do you know? It's got more weapons than you. Mr. Pirate, your choice now is to surrender or die. So I love Q ships. I'll be using them. The Darien Way of Life, my first real look at Darians. The Darien book might have been out by now, but I didn't read it. I read the article here. That was the first time I became aware of Darians. And then we have an Amber Zone, Siege. I like the Amber Zone. I enjoyed Amber Zone. The JTAZ that's being published now by Mongoose has Amber Zones as well. It doesn't mean that the planet is Amber Zoned. It's just an option for you to have adventure. They just called the column Amber Zone. And there you go. And then use your Model 2 BIS. Traveler's Sector Generation, written by AppleSoft Basic for Apple II series computers. Wow! You could use computers to play Traveler and generate Traveler stuff? Wow. Yeah, I'm making fun. I went through those days. I didn't see my first computer up close till about 83. My mom bought one for home office she was running in 84, and the thing took up 3 6-foot-long tables. It was massive, but it served her well through the rest of the 80s. She made some good money with that. So now we go, planetary invasions in Traveler. How are you going to handle that? How are you going to hold what you've taken? This is why I really enjoyed this magazine. A variety of articles, not a ton of themed issues, although there were. But here we get a nice how to invade a planet and hold it. And now we got a ship's locker, flares and signaling devices. Just some very simple stuff to very complicated stuff. I like it. And then breaching charges, all kinds of good stuff here. And then this is Applied Gaming Technologies from Clearwater, Florida. This is a Trillion Credit Squadron campaign that you could play by mail. So a little play on the Free Trader Beowulf Mayday call there, but you could play Trillion Credit Squadron campaign by mail with people you don't even know. Who could imagine, casually talking to people you've never met? Oh my gosh, how times have changed. And then we have a casual encounter. Here's just an NPC you can plug in anywhere you want. And then we have the Traveler's Digest, an excellent magazine that was out at this time. And then we have the Challenge Classifieds, which I loved, and I'll go into that in a later issue because these got way bigger. And helped me find a hobby store or two in my area I didn't know about. And then Europa, Our Stories So Far from Game Designers Workshop. The most ambitious game ever undertaken, all of World War II in Europe and North Africa by divisions and battalions. And then the back, an ad for Twilight 2000, and we're done with the issue. For $3.25, even in 1986, absolutely worth it. I like Challenge Magazine. I bought it straight through from, after the first few issues, after it was this size. As I said, I bought Traveler's Digest when it was the digest size. I just somehow missed the transition. I'm not really sure how, but 86 was not a bad year for me, just a tumultuous year. And I wasn't focusing on gaming as much as I had been. A couple of people had left our group at that time, too. Funny how marriage and moving away for jobs and stuff will just disrupt your gaming life, right? I know I'm the only one who's ever experienced that, and nobody else has ever suffered from that. I'm being facetious, of course. So that's all I've got to say today. I hope you like this little stroll down memory lane. I'll attach a link to this issue of Challenge. You can pick it up as a PDF from DriveThruRPG. Also available on FFE's website, Far Future Enterprises, as part of one of their collections of original Traveler. Excellent magazine. I love having these on hand. And I don't read them as much as I used to. And honestly, I do read more of the Mega Traveler and even the New Era stuff more than I do the oldest issues. It's just kind of where my tastes have gone. This is probably 20 years since I've opened this actual issue. But I did enjoy going through it, and I absolutely found a couple articles I'm going to sit down and read. You can't always just read for homework. It's just kind of what I think of for some of the stuff I read for my channel. Not that I don't enjoy it, but sometimes I like to just read what I feel like reading, and that's where this comes in. So that's it for today from page 121. If you have any comments or criticisms, politely criticize. Go ahead and put them below. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Page 121.